He'd go through fire and water for his country but was sentenced to death by the king. But before his execution, he made one last request.
At least give me a clean death, a soldier's death.
The Praetorians agreed to his plea. However, just as the execution was about to take place, Maximus launched a sudden attack. After taking down 3 men, Maximus called over the distant Praetorians. Although he was stabbed in the arm, he also brought down his enemies. Once a Roman general, now forced to embark on the path of fugitive. And all of this was caused by a war. When a rocket soared into the sky, it officially signaled the Roman Empire's attack. At the command of the officer, the archers began to fire. Countless enemies perished in the sea of fire. After the first wave of attacks, the infantry launched an all-out assault on the Germanic camp. The 2 armies immediately engaged in a fierce battle. At that moment, shouts came from behind the enemy camp. It turned out that General Maximus led his cavalry to charge in. They were ferocious and every soldier was brave and skilled in combat. The German army was attacked from both sides and retreated steadily. Under the leadership of Maximus, the Roman army achieved the final victory. The Roman Empire no longer had any rivals. The aging king was deeply pleased with this turn of events. At the same time, he secretly made a decision and called Maximus to his side.
How can I reward Rome's greatest general?
Let me go home.
In fact, Maximus was already tired of killing, but for Rome, for the people, he had to leave his wife and child to go to the battlefield. Now, with the great victory in the war, Maximus's only wish was to be reunited with his family. The king summoned him again at night. He wanted to pass on the throne to Maximus because his own son, Commodus, was not capable of such responsibility. Only Maximus could lead the Roman army and bring greater glory to the nation. Maximus didn't expect that the king would think so highly of him, but in his heart, his wife and child were always more important than the throne. Maximus did not refuse directly but asked the king to let him think about it for one night. Little did he know, Commodus learned about this news through spies that very night. He then killed his father and announced to the public that the old king died of illness. When Maximus arrived, he discovered obvious scratch marks on his neck. Although he knew who did it, Maximus did not reveal it. However, Commodus ordered the Praetorians to seize him and execute him immediately. Unexpectedly, Maximus slaughtered all the Praetorians. Maximus rode his horse and rushed towards his home. Because the journey was long, he brought a spare horse with him. Day and night, Maximus traveled tirelessly and finally made it back home. But what he saw were 2 charred bodies. It turned out that the Roman soldiers had arrived here before him. Maximus was devastated and buried his wife and child. Unknowingly, Maximus fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up again, he found himself trapped in a prison carriage. He was captured and sold as a slave. The owner bought them and forced them to fight in the arena, in order to make a hefty profit. Before entering the arena, some people trembled in fear. Some even wet their pants in terror. But none of this could change their fate. As soon as the prison doors opened, they had to fight and kill, or they would be killed themselves. No one knows that there is a general hidden in these gladiators. Under Maximus' attack, his opponents quickly fell. But the owner was very displeased with this. Maximus looked disdainful. In the following battles, he continued to strike mercilessly. No one could match him. Maximus threw his sword into the stands. This roar seemed to be a complaint against the audience's enjoyment of bloodshed in watching the gladiators, and also a complaint against the nobles who enslaved others. But at this moment, everyone saw Maximus as a hero. The owner called Maximus over and said that as long as he killed enough people, he could go to a bigger arena, and if he continued to win, he would receive an audience with the king. This was an extremely rare opportunity for Maximus. Soon, Maximus set a record of consecutive victories. Wherever he went, he was highly regarded and respected. Countless women surrounded him. Finally, the day came when Maximus had been waiting for. There were 50,000 spectators, and King Commodus was present to watch. Afraid of revealing his identity, Maximus wore a mask and led the strongest Roman gladiators into the arena. As soon as the game started, the opponent drove a chariot around the field and kept shooting. More than half of the gladiators were injured. Maximus immediately ordered his teammates to form a shield wall for defense. The opponent's chariot was overturned. The gladiators launched a counterattack. In the end, Maximus successfully killed the two charioteers. The strongest praetorians of Rome were so weak. Commodus was very curious about who could be so skilled, so he personally went to the arena to find out. Maximus held a broken sword in his hand. A boy suddenly ran to Commodus' side. Maximus didn't want to kill in front of the child, so he turned around and tried to leave.
Slave! How dare you show your back to me? Move your helmet and tell me your name.
Maximus took off his mask and revealed Commodus' crimes. In a fit of anger, Commodus planned to kill him on the spot. Unexpectedly, the audience suddenly shouted loudly. Under the pressure of public opinion, Commodus reluctantly raised his thumb.
He knows too well how to manipulate the mob.
Marcus Aurelius had a dream that was Rome, Proximo. This is not it. This is not it.
Marcus Aurelius is dead, Maximus. We mortals are but shadows and dust. Shadows and dust, Maximus!
The frigging Lyceum of Antonius Proximo! Caesar is proud to give you alias Maximus!
They embrace him like he's one of their own.
The mob is fickle, brother. He'll be forgotten in a month.
No, much sooner than that. It's been arranged.
Who are about to die. Salute you!
The next duel began. Commodus brought in a tiger. Fortunately, it was chained. The tiger was always released when Maximus wasn't paying attention. The situation was no different from fighting two opponents at once. But Maximus was a seasoned warrior. He wounded the tiger and knocked his opponent's tomahawk to the ground. Another tiger suddenly leaped out. Maximus directly stabbed an arrow into the tiger's neck. The opponent tried to sneak attack, but was also hit by Maximus. Maximus didn't kill him. He earned everyone's respect by being merciful. Seeing that the plan failed, Commodus came to the dueling arena to humiliate him. He wanted Maximus to make the first move so he could rightfully put Maximus in his place.
They tell me your son squealed like a girl when they nailed him to the cross. And your wife moaned like a whore when they ravaged her. Again and again and again.
Maximus held back tears and turned away. Maximus was approached by a counselor late at night. Given the corruption and brutality of Commodus, he wants to eradicate it with Maximus. Even without him, Maximus would have summoned his former men to fight Commodus to the death. The two hit it off and intended to act immediately. Unexpectedly, Commodus actually received the news and sent troops to arrest Maximus. But Commodus did not put him to death immediately. He wanted to defeat Maximus like a gladiator. This will not only win the hearts of the people, but also secure his position. But knowing that he was no match for Maximus, he stabbed Maximus with a sword. Then have his subordinates put armor on Maximus, so that the audience could not see his wounds. The duel begins, and Commodus fights in a roundabout way. He's trying to make Maximus bleed more. Then he finds the right moment to chop Maximus on one of his thighs. Commodus still overestimates himself. He tried to make it a quick fight, but Maximus cut his arm instead. Commodus asked his men to hand him another sword, but no one paid any attention to him. It seems that he has lost not only the hearts of the people, but also the hearts of the generals and soldiers. Maximus, not wanting to take advantage of the situation, threw his sword to the ground as well. Unexpectedly, Commodus pulled out a dagger. But he couldn't resist Maximus's attack. Eventually, Maximus plunged the dagger into his neck. Maximus is also dying of blood loss. As he lay dying, Maximus felt like he had returned home. He saw wife and children again,